Warning, this podcast contains Marion.
Spoilers.
Oh. Spoilers. Oops. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the ASOTV podcast for Once Upon a Time, Season 4, Episode 18, Heart of Gold. I'm your host, Dom. With me, my co-hosts, Nikki, a.k.a. Omikins. Rachel.
Hello.
And Clio.
You're the worst, Mom.
I'm the worst?
You're the worst.
The worst. Like, there's literally nobody out there that is more awful than me.
Yep.
Well, maybe somebody with the last name. I'm not even gonna get there because, I might get assassinated or something. I don't want that shit. I like to live.
She likes to live to be angry.
You're gonna
Don't get me
say
started.
So,
that's gonna get you assassinated.
So with the exception of Nikki, what did everybody think of this episode?
I loved it.
Wait a second.
I'm gonna get to you separately. You are your own. We're gonna address you individually.
You get special treatment this episode.
Yes.
Okay.
The exception of Nikki, what'd you guys think of this episode?
I loved it. It explained a lot.
Banging.
It sure as hell did.
My mouth was gaped open for like 20 minutes. I let half of the commercials go by as my brain was trying to
Comprehend.
figure out if it was actually possible what was happening in front of my eyes.
Yeah, quite a bit actually went down. It was super impressive. So I guess that leaves us with Nikki. What'd you think of this episode, Nikki?
Okay, well, at first, I wanted to just, blow up all of Once Upon a Time. I mean, I wanted to get into that show, and I wanted to just nuke Storybrooke and everything. I didn't want that shit anymore. I was done with it. I mean, there were words I used to describe this episode earlier in the day that really shouldn't be repeated.
I think they're gonna be repeated.
Yeah, I was gonna, but
Right, Tom?
I was going to, but then I realized there's full names involved, so I wasn't gonna do that.
Yeah.
Alright.
But
And then she had a Snickers, and she was like, good.
No, then I had a BLT en wheat with light mayo, and then I felt better.
so and I quote, "Once upon a time can go suck multiple donkey dicks. I am done." That was her first words, right? Then as we were discussing this, we're going on the topic of Marion, and Rachel goes, "Oh well, at least the real Marion's gone." Nikki's like, "She was never there. I'm not debating this. Fuck this show and all its bile seeping orifices." I was just like, "Oh my god, I love this episode. I loved it."
Okay.
And then like half an hour later, Nikki comes back and goes, "I've eaten now, and I can think logically about the events that occurred in this episode. I am still not happy, but the twist was needed and was executed famously." So then that's when Rachel went and made a Snickers joke.
Yes.
If John didn't tell me today that you had put that on the Facebook, Omi, I would have thought that you would have loved this episode.
No,
Because that
the
meant Marion
episode-
there was no Marion for you to hate. It was all Zelina. You can hate the bad guy. That's okay.
But, see, that's what I said. I said, now I could hate her without feeling bad.
the thing
Yeah,
is,
exactly.
you can't hate Marion because she was never there to begin with.
I
Her
know,
story
you can
began
hate
and ended in
Marion.
the Enchanted Forest.
You can
I mean,
hate Zelina Marion.
You can hate Zelina Marion, yes.
Yeah.
So
Now
I
I know why we hated her so much.
mean, that's why I was like, oh my god, don't you even stop it? No, stop it.
It kind of justifies everything and
It
explains
does.
a hell of a lot. This is why an act of true love didn't work for Roland, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're like, oh, the Robin Hood thing, it made sense because he was like falling in love with
Well, the point
Regina.
was Roland didn't even try.
He didn't try, but at the same time,
It wouldn't have
no,
worked.
he did though. There was a moment where we're like, that should have worked.
That was Robin.
No, it was Roland.
Roland
It's
never
like,
tried.
Roland started. I don't remember the exact thing. He started crying. He gave her a hug. He was like crying over her.
Yeah.
And we're like, this. I don't know. It seems like something should work with Roland here, and it wasn't. And it was kind of like a big flaw that we pointed out, but we also kind of just went,
Just
okay,
kinda skipped over.
whatever. So because I mean, the show should know better because it did. The Henry and Emma thing in season 1. It did the Henry and Regina thing in season 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the kids are just as much part of the act of true love as the rest of them.
Oh,
so it should have worked, and now it put everything to rest. It explained everything.
Yep.
Like, I had...
Yep.
And... Okay, hold on.
Just, you know what?
This
I never got
fixed
to
something
finish.
else for me. My one and only actual gripe with the whole
The
show.
name, Will Scarlet.
No.
It didn't fix that for you?
No. I was not even bothered by Will Scarlet. See, that's just something that is irritating. I mean, something I legitimately hate, and you guys know. No, Robin Hood. When they recast Robin Hood back in season 2, I think he was in, he was a different actor, and it was the episode Rumple had him kidnapped or whatever. Marion was the same actress, but in this episode, he got this talisman that he revealed, and he said, "Aren't you worried about the Dark One finding you?" And he goes, "Well, now I have something to disguise myself against him." So that one little fucking scene that they put in that means nothing to people that weren't paying attention because stuff like this doesn't bother them as much as it bothers me, remembered and went, that actor that played Robin Hood in that one episode, it's now okay.
It was a glimmer.
So I just have to relax a little and wait for the show to sort itself out, and I will be fine. But
yeah, I mean, I loved this episode because, you know, once everything started falling into place, once my brain wasn't all frazzle-dazzled, it was good.
You just have such violent reactions to things.
I do! I'm tangent when Sean Bean and Game of Thrones got aced. I legit
wow.
things.
Spoiler warning.
Sorry, spoilers.
This is the wrong show.
But I know, I'm just going...
If you don't know that he got killed, I don't watch the show and knew that he died.
I'm backing up the fact that she says I have a violent reaction to things. I legit threw things and broke things when that happened.
Oh my God.
My teenage neighbor was sitting on the couch beside me. She was shitting her pants. She thought she was gonna die.
Oh, well, I wonder what your next door neighbors thought.
It was when I was in a house, so I mean...
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell when it comes to things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of backstory about, you know, what Robin's been up to this whole time. J-Corp in chat saying that he had a prediction that Regina's dream is actually protecting Robin from Zelina or whatever. It could be true. I don't...
Oh,
I'm not going to dismiss that.
She might deep down inside already have known. You know, being sisters and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah. And Zelina can easily use that necklace to glamour herself as the evil queen version of Regina.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a foreshadowing.
That might actually come to pass.
Yeah.
It might be a premonition, not just a dream.
When we get the whole flashback with Robin Hood present day or whatever, and we see him and Marion and Roland in New York, and he's riding the horse, chasing down the guy at the... And I was just like, oh my God, this scene is great. But then when he goes, oh, we're going to go stay at Balefire's place, as soon as he said that, I was like...
Why didn't Rumple go there?
Yeah, I was like, Rumple should have went there when he got exiled from Storybrooke.
I also have to say...
Why did I not think of this, like, originally when he was living with Ursula? As if it totally just... I don't know. Yes.
I just have to say... There's always the scene where it's like, oh, these people from, you know, the country come to New York City and immediately get, like, a purse snatched.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever tried to steal my stuff, and I've carried a lot of stuff through Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I see scenes like that, and I'm like,
one of those,
that's a stereotype.
That's not...
It is. I mean, we, for the most part, 3 out of the 4 of us spend a significant time in New York City. I mean, you two practically live there. You know.
Technically, we do live in New York City. I actually lived in Manhattan for 5 years, so.
Right.
I go there and have anxiety attacks and pass out on the street. So it's, you know, I'm there. I've been there multiple times. I may not remember, but I've been there.
I find myself in New York City maybe 5 or 6 times a year, and if not more. And I'm around at like 3 in the morning walking around. I take the subways. Like, I've never once had any issues with people stealing stuff whatsoever.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also just bad luck. I mean, sometimes people do get jumped or stuff stolen. It's true.
I mean, it happens everywhere.
But it's always they always do a purse snatching, and it's like, do you know how rare that is?
I'm trying to think of like the timeline because it's not present day New York. We're still like 2 or 3 years behind in terms of this.
Yeah.
But New York about like 10-ish years ago was pretty bad. Crime rate was up, and a lot of that had to do with what was the mayor, governor, whatever his name was. Rudolph Giuliani. He cleaned up a lot, so
that was more than 10 years ago. That was probably 20 years ago.
Okay. Well, it was like around that time. Like, think of when the Ninja Turtle movie came out. Like,
yes,
it was bad back then. It really was.
So another tangent, but Daredevil, Hell's Kitchen used to be a terrible area.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so terrible anymore. But they're still being like, Hell's Kitchen is a place where all this crime, up. And I'm like, it's actually a beautiful place. I don't know what you're talking about. It's actually beautiful.
Yeah. Lee Silver is in chat saying that he's Manhattanite right here. Did we really need a horse scene?
Yes.
I think only because this is the fairy tale that we needed the horse.
Yeah, obviously it's a fairy tale. Those poor horses get treated so badly.
They do.
That horse was probably the happiest it's ever been in its life.
Well,
if that was even a New York City horse, I doubt that was one of the typical.
Now that they're kind of banning
you
horse-drawn carriages,
you would have thought that like Emma or Regina or somebody would have given Robin a heads up on how things in the modern world work just a teensy bit, because riding a fucking horse, breaking into things because you're doing the good for people. No, if you're doing the good for
arrested him for that though,
because he didn't get caught. Now, if he got
horse. No one arrested him for that.
With any of the things he did, he would have got arrested.
Okay.
He stole a horse.
I also like the fact that we now know how long between when he left and now was.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Because remember, we were speculating, has it been 2 months? Has it been 3? Has it been 4? We don't know. It's been 9 weeks.
Yeah, Jay's asking where did the horse go? It stopped. It actually stopped at the edge of the grass.
There was people.
What park was that? What park were they in there?
He left it in the park.
Yeah.
Did you recognize that park?
It had a nice day in the park.
Did you recognize that park, Clio?
Yes. I think that might be Tribeca area.
Okay. Yeah, it was like right on the edge, just grazing. Like, so whenever Robin jumped off, it pretty much stopped running.
I didn't pay too much attention, though. I was I probably know that place.
There was someone holding it in the back, so it was probably a handler of some sort.
Yeah. I 100% that had to have been like a stunt horse. Trained horse. That was definitely not one of their carriage regular horses that walk around New York. If that was even filmed in New York to begin with, it could have been green screened, and we don't know for sure.
I'm sure they filmed a bunch of like the stationary stuff there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Probably some superimpositions. They might have even filmed the bike stuff there.
Yeah. Possible. I doubt the whole chase scene. No. I'm almost positive they didn't shut down major streets in New York to do that. But yeah, so we see Robin go stay at Balefire's place, and that's when Rumple shows up.
That was hilarious.
And it's like
until
I was laughing
until he collapsed.
Yeah, yes.
I was actually genuinely like, oh, poor Rumple. Yeah. He's having a heart attack.
That's what I was like, first thing, heart attack. He's having a heart attack.
I expected Robin to be like, I'm not gonna fall for your shit. I'm actually having a heart attack.
I was expecting
that was me. I'm like, I'm not gonna fall for that. Rumple, get up.
I was 100% waiting for him to do something, but then at the same time, I'm like, well, Rumple's not a very physical person, so even if he was faking it, what's he gonna do? Bash Robin over the head with his cane? And that still, Robin's gonna be like, what did you do that for? Pick him up and throw him around. So, it's not like he would have accomplished anything by faking it. So, yeah, but then we find out, there's some magic. He needs magic. I don't understand how magic works in New York City right now. Like, that part is still, I don't care. I don't care how you try to justify. I don't understand it.
You can't cast it.
You can't cast it, but as a person, you cannot cast it, use it like that, but like a magical item.
In a magical land, taken to
that's how
our world can work.
If that was the case, the the demon from A Night on Bald Mountain shouldn't have vaporized when he crossed into the real world?
No, potions. I think it's specifically potions. Because I'm not sure any
Potions and amulets and stuff like this.
Yeah, magical items, not creatures.
Yeah.
Although I
guess
also
could let
don't
it
think
slide.
he's gone. I'm sure that the demon is gonna come back. I don't think he's gone.
Nah.
Because nobody really knows what exactly happened to him.
No, we don't know.
You've
don't
seen what
know.
he can do in Fantasia. I mean, do you think he's really gone?
He's
I
a
do.
scary motherfucker. He's coming
Yeah.
back.
I
He
do
is
think
coming
he's
back.
gone. I do.
No.
Yeah, and he's gonna be pissed.
He's gonna be so pissed.
Just like Zelina was dead, right?
Yeah,
Who
exactly.
Who was the one that said she was still alive? One of the three of you.
I don't even
I
remember.
think we might have also. It's a possibility.
That she just.
It wasn't me. But I think we all had a moment where we're like, did she die? How'd she die? What happened
Yeah.
to her? We were all like, what?
Yeah, there was a moment there where we were all just like, I don't remember. Something's up.
Yeah, well, it turned out her essence went through when it created the portal. She went through, and Clio, do you remember now? They went back in time. You remember that?
You're gonna keep making fun of me. I actually, when I was watching that scene, I was like, oh yeah, they went back in time.
Not only did we talked about it on the last two podcasts, but she still had that revelation again as she watched this episode. So
It wasn't a revelation. It was just like in the back of my mind, like, oh yeah, they went through time. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so
It
she.
ain't cool.
I don't know, like, because they didn't show her, like, creeping around in any of the scenes, so we don't know how soon it took her to go into Marion's body.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think back, like, sure, this had to be part of their plan the whole time, but during that one particular episode, were they thinking this is Zelina? I don't know for sure. That might be something that they retconned after the fact when they were writing this particular season.
Could be.
But there were no telltale signs that all of a sudden she had like a bipolar personality.
No,
so.
no, it wasn't. But there was that. I mean, they might have thought about it because there was that time after she hit her over the head that they both left her alone.
Yeah.
The unattended.
Which I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah.
So maybe that was in their heads the whole time.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But it was I always thought that was kind of weird. They just left her alone. An unconscious lady in the woods. Yeah.
And I mean, it's also the way Zelina died with the cracked porcelain and the dust. It was like very specific, weird kind of death where it's like they definitely thought this
You
through.
don't know. Yeah, like you don't.
Yeah.
We didn't know. That's why we didn't know she was dead or not, because it was like she just crumbled into dust, and then we know that with the dust, they come back with like Maleficent and everything. So.
Well,
Yeah,
we know that.
I know the porcelain doll was big in the books and stuff like that for Oz, and I know that they recently used it in the
Great and Powerful.
The Great and Powerful Oz. They had the porcelain doll in that one, and stuff like that. So I think that may be just like a little nod to that, but it's definitely, it was from the books first. What were you gonna say, Omi?
Never mind. I didn't know about that part of the Great Powerful and stuff. I was like, we all know she only dies to a bucket of water, but
Well, no, she herself wasn't a doll in that. The porcelain doll was a character, kind of like the Scarecrow was in the Great and Powerful Oz.
Okay, so maybe I'm right. The only way she can die is a bucket of water.
Well, no, because they kind of made fun of that. Remember when?
I know.
What was it, last season?
I haven't seen her get wet, so we don't know.
No, we did. Last season, Dorothy poured a bucket of water on her, and she faked her death.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, they did poke fun at that.
You know, that was Rebecca Nader's ice bucket challenge, and it was genius.
Yeah,
it was. But yeah, so we got to see a lot more of Oz this episode. I thought we were done with Oz. You know, previously we knew that Rebecca Nader was coming back this season. We assumed it was just gonna be in flashbacks. So I'm glad to have her back on as a villain. Like, I think she was a great villain, and I feel like her story did end pretty suddenly.
Yeah, it was abrupt. Yeah,
and if anything, she's gotten crazier.
Yeah,
Right.
she's super loopy.
Oh, wow.
She has multiple personalities.
And if she did happen to cast a spell on Rumple, which we don't know, her not dying would mean the spell stayed in place that could explain some of Rumple's actions.
I guess.
You would think that like a big spell like that, when her essence leaves her current body, she goes back in time. That all that stuff kind of would be undone and stuff. It just seems like a spell like of that caliber would be able to hang on.
No, we don't.
If it was a curse, then no.
Yeah, this is true.
No.
But
I do like that we got to see a little more of Oz.
Yeah.
And how Will and
Now
Robin met.
Jay,
Yeah, that was great.
Jay brings
I
up a
love
good
that.
question in chat. He goes, does that mean Zelina was cursed with the ice spell, or was she just faking?
She was. She
was.
totally was. And if
you
if she would have died.
You saw when she left Storybrooke that it went.
Yes, that it just released from her. The thing is, if they wouldn't if they would have just been like, oh no, if we don't take Marion out, Zelina would have died. She would have legit died. She would have froze to death, and that would have been the end of Zelina. But no, they're like, Marion,
I feel a little.
Regina had her heart in her hand.
Oh,
She had her heart.
She
God!
was so close. She's so close.
I bet you Regina's kicking herself in the ass right now.
Oh yeah, looking back on that, it was
my
that's awful.
God.
But I liked the scene when Marion was like going through Robin's phone and was like, "What is she doing in there?" And
I
like,
loved it.
and
Did you
Robin
see-
was like, "Oh, delete," and then I paused because
So did I.
Nikki
So did
knows I love to do this. I paused and you saw at the top was Marion. There's no last name. It was just Marion. And then there was Will Scarlet, were the top two, the favorite. Under that was David Nolan, then Granny's Diner.
No, it was Emma and then Granny's Diner.
Oh yeah, Emma, Granny's Diner, and then Mary Margaret. So those are all the contacts he had in his list. That
I was
that
like,
were
he
always
has
The
in
only
his
Will
people
on his
he
phone.
knows.
Yeah.
He
So,
has Will on speed dial.
yeah, I thought it was just really funny, but it's a little odd at the same time that he hasn't tried to keep in touch with anybody, so.
I mean, at that
Yeah,
point, it's just there's a lot of things that have been going on with Robin. He's trying to make sure that Marion and Roland and him are in a stable life in this new land.
Right.
So, I mean, I know when I moved to New York, I barely talked to anybody back home because I just wanted to make sure that I was in the right situation, that I was stable.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, I
and
mean, from what we're seeing here too, it wasn't like present day New York. It was like their first days. Like they're still traveling. They just get there. They're trying to get settled, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
And does Marion or Zelina, whatever, Marion Zelina, does she own any other clothes?
No.
Why would she?
She was wearing the same clothes the whole entire time.
She goes down into the laundry room of Neil's building, stark fucking naked, does her 2 pairs of freaking clothing in the laundry, and then she puts them on after they're dry and walks back up.
I mean,
No, she
listen,
rigs
was
the
Robin-
seal. She rigs the seal on the washing machine. It's like one of those old ones where it stands up or whatever, and she sits in it and she just rotates around in top of it. Like you just see her head spinning around.
I mean, I know it's just something so little, but I noticed it. I was like, it's almost like noticing that all Henry ate was donuts.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, making fun of all the other cartoons and Disney stuff where they never change their fucking clothes.
Sure.
When Robin was talking to Rumple outside the hospital, there was an advertisement for Aladdin on Broadway.
Was
on the
there?
bus station.
That's great.
Nobody
I missed
saw
that one.
It was the picture of the genie. Yeah. I was like,
Picture of the genie that must have been like a little nod to Robin Williams then.
Oh my god,
That's
it could
great.
be. It could be. And then they could be bringing in Aladdin and them soon.
maybe. But honestly, those are legitimate MTA bus stop
Right.
That is so awesome.
advertisements.
If they do bring in the Aladdin stuff, then that'll bring in stuff from Wonderland.
Yeah, probably Jafar, and that kind of leaves because we saw the origin of Will Scarlet. We saw him in this episode meeting Robin for the very first time, and saw him steal the vial that Robin stole. What was that?
I have a question. Was he really trying to mend his heart because of his sister, or because of the first fallout with Anastasia?
I think this was
This
pre-Anastasia.
is before.
I'm almost positive this was pre Wonderland entirely.
Yeah, because what he said was like, how can I give someone my heart when it's still broken, kind of thing. So he might have met Anastasia, but he couldn't give his heart to her because he's still brokenhearted about his sister. So,
Alright.
So he's clearly been to the Enchanted Forest before because he knew of Rumpelstiltskin.
Mm-hmm.
Will's like, oh, good luck making a deal with that guy, or something, as he's like wandered off. Good luck with Rumpelstiltskin. So he knew of Rumpel. We know Rumpel traverses lands and stuff. Zelena knew of Rumpel, and she had been training under him at that point. And
poor
stuff
Robin.
Like that.
Everyone takes advantage of him and his honor.
Yeah, but I mean, we get to see that the bow originally came from Zelena's place, which now begs the question of how did Rumpel come into possession of it? Because him and Robin had to have crossed paths again at some point, because when Robin was first introduced in season 2 or 3, I think it was 2, he stole the bow from Rumpelstiltskin. That was the reason why he crept into his castle in the first place.
Yep.
So we know he loses it, and then at some point we're like, I think it's the arrows that are magic and not the bow, because then we see him later on in present day in Storybrooke with a crossbow.
Arrows. They're Patriot arrows.
Yeah, so I'm confused at whether or not it's the bow or the arrows, or maybe a combination of both now.
It might be a combination.
It also might have been that he lost again the bow and arrows, so that he had to use a crossbow.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just not magical in Storybrooke.
Well, no, because the crossbow was also said that it could hit any target. But they had meant it wasn't the crossbow. He said it was the arrow at that point. So now I'm just a little confused on whether or not which one it is, or if there's two separate sets of magical items here. But we have Lee Silver in chat saying that he heard a rumor that Will Scarlet is Jack Frost because he lost his sister. So
Does that mean he gets with Elsa?
I don't know.
Better.
I would not dismiss the fact that we may see Anna and Elsa at some point again.
Oh yeah,
because the recent announcement of Frozen 2. So maybe not next season, but the season after. And they could early be setting stuff up. They've seeded stuff many seasons in advance.
I mean, they've been seeding Cinderella for a while too.
Exactly.
So.
And I think that's the next major thing that we're going to get is Cinderella because of the movie.
Yeah.
Which I still haven't seen.
Which is really awesome, because I've seen it.
We should go see it.
Yes.
Have fun.
Neil,
I'm sitting this one out.
You're just bitter.
I'm not bitter.
Yes, you are.
No, I want to see it.
You told me that the reason you weren't going to see it is because we didn't do the Maleficent podcast. That's the reason you gave me.
I heard it.
That is the reason that you said.
I heard that reason too. You're just being a big puss.
So, moving right along. I don't know. This episode, just the fact that they solved all my issues with Robin Hood. It made me so happy. Like, you don't understand. Like, that was it. That bothers me more than anything. Like, the Ursula one bothered me going into the season, and then when they established that Ursula the god is different from Ursula the person that we know from the Queens of Darkness is two separate, and I was like, oh my god, yes, thank you. Like, that solved everything there. Now, and I think I even mentioned at that time that Robin Hood was my big gripe. The fact that it was two different actors, and I was almost willing to just let that one slide because I like this actor of Robin much better than the first Robin.
Yeah.
And
he was kind of forgettable because
he was.
We were like, oh wow.
He was extremely forgettable, and I actually forgot about the fact that it was a different actor until halfway through season 3.
Yeah.
And then I went back and I was watching the show at that time. I was rewatching the whole thing. And I was like, whoa, that's not Robin Hood. So.
But now they kind of, closed that hole.
Yeah, there was a bunch of loose strands everywhere in the story, and they just kind of tucked some in. They fixed a few.
Yeah, so I actually have a question.
Okay.
The necklace that Robin stole.
Right.
Looked like it had 6 pieces. What was the deal with it?
It was a clover.
It was a 6-leaf clover.
6-leaf clover.
Yeah, and he took one of them.
Right.
He took one of them.
Correct. And
Zelena has another. Mm-hmm. So there are 4 floating around in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just had to make sure I got that.
Okay, from now on, everybody pay attention to necklaces.
Yes.
Well, Well, that's not necessarily true because Robin didn't have to wear it to change his form because he was not wearing it. I went back to look. He was not wearing it in that episode, so I think as long as it's on him. So if it's in his pocket,
yes, but it is a thing that we have to be aware of going forward because they wouldn't have said, "Hey, here's 6 of them," if they're not planning to use more.
So now my big gripe is if Anastasia is going to be the same Anastasia from Once Upon a Time as Cinderella's stepsister that she was in episode 2 or 3, I don't remember which one it was now, where Rumpel was the fairy godmother of Cinderella.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anastasia Tremaine was in that episode, was a different actress. If they're going to try to pull some weird stunt that she was wearing this, that one is not going to fly because she was hanging with her family, so... I don't know. Maybe the Anastasia from Wonderland has been using it this whole time on Will to make her appearance look something different. That could be a thing, but I don't know. So
I really miss Anastasia.
I know that's the thing that's got me.
Such a good character.
Is I want to know more than ever now what is going on between Anastasia and Will.
Yep.
Yeah, where she is, what happened, why they're apart.
Also, the whole wizard's shop in
Lee
New
Silver
York
says it was episode 4 that she was in. But yeah.
But I do love the Wizard of Oak reference. From
yes, that was very funny.
I was
like, don't know if we're going to
seriously?
get an answer this season.
No, probably not.
Anastasia. And that's going to be kind of disappointing if that is the case, because...
Or they might leave it as a cliffhanger, like, she shows up.
I mean, because, like, Will hasn't exactly been explained here. Like,
no.
This was a better use of Will than they've used him almost the entire season.
Yeah, they haven't explained why he came. They must have fallen out or something. Or she died or something. Who knows?
I don't know. I still think, like, one of the main reasons why Will is hanging around is because he has some sort of tie with Maleficent because of what happened with the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also another tie to Wonderland, which would probably lead into Anastasia, Jafar, and all the lamp and all that stuff. So I think it's going to start with Maleficent and make its way there, and we'll find out by the end of the season.
Hopefully.
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 Down with that, though.
I know they have to have some big plans for Will. They wouldn't have brought him over. They would have, like, if they needed him just for, like, this particular little Robin Hood scene in Oz, which they could have done without. They didn't need that.
Yeah, they didn't.
It was nice that they included it. It wasn't needed, but they still could have just brought him in for a cameo. I do like the fact that they did bring him into the season, but I feel like
they're not
utilizing him well.
No.
Yeah.
I think there's just they're making it seem like he's not being utilized, and then all of a sudden, bam, Will's story.
Jay saying in chat that when Will was in the library, he had the torn out page from the Red Alice in Wonderland book. So yeah, like it's definitely something they were foreshadowing. But we don't even know if it's going to be something that's answered this season.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
Yes, Lee wants Jefferson back and Alice
want
as well.
Jefferson
But
we all want Jefferson back. But he's the Winter Soldier, guys, and I think
he's contracted for like how many more movies?
I think I like the Winter Soldier more than I like Jefferson. I'm sorry, I have to say it. I'm sorry.
He's actually contracted more than Chris Evans is contracted now.
Well, I mean, I think we've talked about this in the big Marvel Phase 3 discussion podcast, but he could be replacing Chris Evans as Captain America in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible just because of the extension of his contract, how long it is. Chris Evans, I think, was tied
and
on
also
for 5 movies.
there are versions of Bucky where he takes up the mantle of Captain America.
Right. So
for one reason or
unfortunately,
another.
I do not believe we will be getting the Mad Hatter back on this show. It could be. If we do, it's probably going to be like a 1-episode cameo kind of thing. Where they could find the time in, but I don't think we're ever going to see him as a returning main cast member, unfortunately.
Unless they break their rule big time and recast him, which would be
horrible.
We're all shaking our heads. We're like, it's not
don't do it.
No.
And just the fact that they've gone back now with this Robin Hood thing to clear that up, and like, because there was a lot of people that did not notice. I know when I first brought it up to all you guys, you were like, "What?"
Well, because it was
what? There was no other actor.
He was such a minor character, and it was kind of forgettable, and no one really, paid attention.
Right. So, like, I know most of the fan base watching, and I believe even for the longest time, the wiki didn't even report Robin Hood being in season 2, and they only report him his first episode as being in season 3. So for the longest time, not the official, but the fan-driven Once Upon a Time wiki wasn't even accurate because it was so out there or whatever. But Marion was the same actress through the whole time. And the fact that they've just gone back to retcon that just proves to show they really don't want to recast people. And if they do, they're going to go out of their way to explain it. So.
How many enjoyed the reveal in the hospital?
Where Zelina was like, "Hey."
Well, I love
And
it
he died.
when Robin gave him the potion and it didn't work. She comes and it's like, well, it's like basically she ran off the whole Dayquil.
The whole thing, I was like, Marion, what are you doing, Marion?
Yeah, I was
Marion,
in shock. I was like,
horrible.
Marion, did you just grow some balls? Like, what are you trying to hold over Rumple's head that you're going to cut a deal with him?
How confused I was. She turned into Zelina. I was like, Marion, why would you glamour yourself to look like Zelina? I was sitting there with my mouth open like...
I had so many conflicted emotions in that scene. You don't even...
I wish I was there to see this. I wish I was there.
When she started
I wish I had a camera on myself.
When she
I don't know what it looked like.
Do we need to start like filming us all watching it and like a reaction videos?
And we'll just be like... But when she started talking to Rumple and started telling him her plans, I'm like, oh my god, she's monologuing. Right. All of a sudden I'm thrown back to the Incredibles. He never monologue.
What? We monologuing.
And I think the reason why it caught me so off guard is because usually in the previous on Once Upon a Time thing, they would have shown a lot of like the Marion scenes and Zelina and stuff like that, and they didn't.
Nope.
And they were able to do it, but within the episode over that narration.
This is generally a surprise.
Yeah, so during that narration and having her and showing us the clips and the flashbacks and having her narrate over it made it that much more powerful because you didn't have these weird flashes. Because I know in like I know I don't like to talk about other shows, but I know in like Supernatural when they do stuff like this and it's like a character you haven't seen in a long time and we don't know that they're going to be in there. All they do in the previously on Supernatural is they just show a clip reel of like every scene that they've ever been involved in, and then they show up halfway through the episode, and it's like, okay, that's not really a surprise to me anymore. This, there was nothing. It's just like boom, and even all the previews that we saw involving Zelina were in flashbacks. It was the Robin Hood scene where she split into 3 and was like, find your target, you know, kind of. We didn't know she was going to be back present day. That blew me away. It legit blew me away.
Job.
And when she said she wanted her happy ending, I was like, dude, everyone, all the happy endings, you get a happy ending.
She's not Oprah.
No.
Wait, if the author was Oprah.
The author's
a happy ending. You get a happy ending. Everybody gets a happy ending.
You just made us all facepalm.
I do like the fact that the author grabbed a stick and tried to make a quilt, and Rumple was like, you know, that would work if it was we were still in the Enchanted Forest, basically.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there was little things like that. Then, trying to think, there was the scene at the beginning, you know, with them coming clean about, you know, their intentions with Maleficent and David and Mary.
Oh, Emma
Margaret.
let them have it.
Yeah, so.
I'm glad.
I'm glad too. She kicked him right in the pants.
Yep. I mean, outside of that, really the big thing was Zelina, Rumple, and Robin, you know, and it's just like... This is one of those very few times where the show catches me off guard. Usually, I could kind of see where something's coming, or the synopsis from the previous week kind of reveals a little too much for us or whatever. Mm-hmm. This one blindsided us. It really did.
I almost had the same face that Regina had when she found out that Zelina was still alive. What?
And I mean, I wonder how much Zelina's going to be tied into the rest of this season, or if she's just going to...
Well, she wants her happy ending, so...
Right. She got to deal with Rumple.
Fucking line.
But...
Jesus.
And I'm guessing Zelina had some connection into how Rumple was able to get back into
Yeah.
Storybrooke, and maybe he brought her back in his pocket. I don't know.
Could have.
Wait, what? No,
I don't know.
Rumple
Just
got
saying.
back into Storybrooke because those queens decided to throw the scroll back over the line, and he
That's
walked
true.
right in. I mean,
But what happened to Zelina? Obviously, something's.
Zelina's still in New York with Roland and Robin. If she's coming back, I'm sure Rumple's gonna be like handing out his hand and be like, "Come back in," or
Something.
something
Or
like
he's gonna
that.
try to double cross her or something. That's not gonna be
There's
leaving you happy.
no. If he double crosses her, I'm pretty sure his heart is just gonna crumble into ash. He's gonna die.
Well, don't forget, it's not only that, but he is, as much of a dick as Rumpelstiltskin is, he honors his deals.
Yes, he does.
Unless, well, I guess, it running in the family of Cora, she could quite possibly have taken his heart.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Gold always honors his deals, so he reluctantly, he didn't have a choice, but he still made a deal with Zelina, and according to Rumple, his contracts are ironclad, all the deals that he makes, so he has to honor it just by his code.
Maybe Zelina told him her happy ending. And all it is something really nice and simple, but the way she wants to go and get it is what he's kind of griping about.
She wants a family. She's gonna try to do something
And
to her
We
sister.
already know what she thinks is her happy ending. I mean, we spent almost we did spend half of last season her trying to get it, so...
She wanted Regina's life.
Right.
Regina right now is stuck between a rock and a hard place. And
But that
She's
also-
always been in a rock and hard place.
Well,
That
no,
also
even
gives
more
substance.
now.
That also gives substance to maybe Regina's dream was premonition.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she wants Regina's life, what better than to impersonate Regina
Mm-hmm.
to get it?
Well, Regina's stuck now between, basically keeping Robin safe or keeping Emma safe.
We know that Emma's gonna turn. There's that preview that they started at the beginning of the season, or beginning of the mid-season finale, or whatever, that break. She's all like, I'm gonna throw this fireball up your ass face.
Pretty much.
Using dark magic does not mean she's going to turn on everybody. I
No.
think maybe... What?
But she
She
does,
could be faking it.
She does get to that point where she is teetering that line. Like, she's even teetering right now because she's just so full of rage.
She's pissed off that her parents lied
She's
to
an
her.
easy target for this.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
definitely.
Lee is saying, he's going to break his deal with Balefire again because Deal's death is not avenged. He did kind of make a deal with Bale, so...
But that doesn't mean coming back around after he's fulfilled the deal with Zelina that he can kill Zelina?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's true. There's ways to go around to get to honor both. So
If anyone's going to find a loophole, it's Rumple.
It'll be Rumple, yeah.
Yep.
Anyway,
Maybe he'll
next
take
week.
her
Oh, wait!
necklace.
Oh,
I actually think that talking about whether Regina was going to choose Robin
Robin
or
or Emma.
Emma, I think she's going to choose Emma.
Well, because of after that phone call, like, she knows Zelina has Robin around the neck, basically.
I mean, we were
Be
left
like-
on that cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I
Does
think
anybody else think?
Poor Regina.
I think she's gonna choose Robin.
She's gonna find a way to save both.
I think,
She's not tied to anybody. She did not make any deals.
Mm-mm.
She's just as cunning and clever as Rumple.
I just think with the fact that Regina's let her happy ending slip out of grasp so many times that there's only so many times that she could walk away from it. So, I think she's gonna go to Robin this time, and I think that's because we did see in previews that Emma is gonna go dark side. We don't know how dark side, but she is gonna go dark side. So
We don't know how she ends up that way.
But
She
she can
could've-
go dark side without Regina throwing her.
Yeah,
in.
exactly. I say she could go dark side whether or not Regina chooses her or not.
that's true. Yeah. I don't know. Let's read the synopsis. Maybe we'll get some insight there. Next week is Sympathy for the Deville.
No.
Or the Devil?
The
Deville. Ha ha.
And when you're a kid, you never realize that that's what her last name said.
Oh, I knew that. I caught on that.
No,
like,
because in the original telling, I think it was spelled Deville or something.
yeah.
Yep.
So, it was always intended to be devil, but it's spelled... In this one, she actually spells it Devil. but
It's like DE, comma.
yeah,
DeVille.
but in the other tellings, it was actually DeVille.
Yeah.
So, anyway, in fictional 1920s England, interesting, viewers meet a young Cruella, whose oppressive mother uses her Dalmatians to terrorize her daughter. Cruella is confined to her mother's attic until a mysterious stranger arrives and empowers her to challenge her captor.
Sounds very like Cinderella.
No. That sounds very much like Rumpelstiltskin to me.
No, the whole she's stuck up in the attic and her mom is a bitch and
yeah. The mysterious stranger sounds like Rumple to me because Rumple's got his hand in everything. So.
All right, it's too much. It's too much. Rumple is the mysterious fucking everything.
Correct.
That's why I was like,
too much. No.
Anyway.
Anybody else. Literally anybody else.
I'm almost willing to bet it's Rumple. Anyway, in Storybrooke, Regina gains leverage to keep Gold from interfering with her plan to rescue Robin. Ooh. But her trip to New York takes the back seat when she and Emma learn that Cruella has kidnapped Henry.
Oh, that bitch. Shoot her now.
Well, in the little snippet, little promo for next week, Cruella has a big secret about her past.
Yeah.
And she's trying to hide.
Yep. So,
I don't know.
I was like, duh.
I love we get 1920s England. Do you think we're going to have any references to, is this the same 1920s England that Wendy and the Darlings are from?
Were they from the...
It was a fictional.
It was fictional England.
Oh, I see.
So...
Yeah. But they were from the 1800s, I thought. Darlings?
Yeah, they had been there for 100. Neverland's been around for hundreds of years, so.
Yeah, no, it could be that fictional England.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it the same fictional?
Because
as Wonderland, as Alice too.
Yeah, well, because don't forget that Wendy Moira Angela Darling, I know her whole name. She went to Neverland, so she spent there. So I don't think we're gonna see them, but I'm just curious if it's the same England.
No, I'm just same England. She's now in present day with her brothers, and she's still a kid, which is just so kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it should be interesting. I think that about wraps it up. You guys have anything else?
I don't know. Maybe the mysterious stranger is really the rabbit. He's
the author.
But
well, the rabbit can't empower her with anything. He can just time travel her.
Yeah.
Well, empowering doesn't mean magic. Empowering means making her feel powerful enough to stand up to her mom.
Yeah,
that could be empowering someone.
But if Cruella is from an England without magic, someone is going to have to come and give her those dog controlling powers.
Yes. That's what that's the empowerment there. She's given the power to manipulate the dogs that she's being tortured with by her mother.
Turn the dogs against her mother.
Exactly.
You don't know how powerful the magic rabbit is.
It seems like this Cruella doesn't want to turn all the Dalmatians into coats.
I wanted to give it something different than just it being Rumple. I mean...
I know, please. It's too much.
It's gonna be Rumple, but that also kind of begs the question of whether or not Rumple is gonna last till next season, because with the exception of Zelina, because this is the first time, but all the other characters, they get their redemption story die. So Rumple's kind of the big villain right now. So
did Ursula die when she got her redemption?
Nope.
No.
The season's not over.
She's
not the big villain though.
No, but she is a villain looking for her happy ending.
No, I'm saying the big villain's the main villain of the season. I
don't know. Maybe it's Peter Pan that comes.
Peter Pan died.
Yeah, but he didn't get a redemption.
I know that Peter.
Him and Rumple had the father-son bonding moment, and then he tried to redeem himself. Rumple didn't want to hear it, killed him or whatever, but he himself changed. He wanted the redemption.
Yeah,
Rumple just wasn't.
Wanting to be redeemed and being redeemed are different.
Well, that's just Rumple being stubborn and not accepting it. If Rumple accepted it, then it would have been a redemption.
I think he was 100% in his right to not accept it.
Nobody would have accepted that shit.
You know what big villain has not died yet, though, that can come back?
Well, he's a G.
Yeah.
I've been saying that this whole season.
I know.
I mean,
They
after
need
they
to bring
do
something like that.
yeah, I'm thinking after the Cinderella, they're probably gonna try to maybe work that in because it would be really, really easy to work it in with Will being there, and
Yeah.
Yep.
all that.
Nikki, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at LadyVenom24, LadyVenom24.
Rachel, where can the people find you?
They can find me at Savannah17 over there. Oh, there it goes.
Clio, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Clio Motor on the socials and on Twitch at the K. Bring that back.
Hey!
Hey, bring it back. And on Twitch at the Clio Motor, I'm going to be streaming Magicite right after this.
Oh, yeah.
You can find me down below at Phenomenon, PHENOMEDOM.
Phenomenon.
Do 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 do. You can also find us on
That's
Facebook.
that cool.
You can also find us on Facebook, Gmail, G+, Twitter, Space, and right here on YouTube /ASOTV podcast for some more podcasts for some of your favorite TV shows. Until next week. See you guys later.
I just zipped up my hair and it's like...
Princess Deadpool.
I need another BLT.
You're not yourself when you don't have a Snickers.
I don't like Snickers.